Welcome back for another Tune It Up Tuesday. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're enjoying the videos, and I want to thank you for watching. Today we're going to talk about the mixing board and signal source as well as line input source. Now your signal source can be anything from your cell phone all the way through to the guitar player, vocalist, whomever you have standing on your stage. Microphone inputs of all types. Again, you have to get it to your mixing board. You have to get it set up properly in order to get everything else to sound the way you need it to sound. It can be a daunting task depending on how many items you're hooking up and things like that. But you've paid a lot of money for your equipment and you want to get the most out of your PA. So we're going to start with how to actually adjust the level so you know exactly what's being put into your mixer, and then again back down through the PA system. Now there's some variables here. Guitar players and drummers and bass players and things like that, everything can change because they also have control over the volumes of their amps, guitars, and things like that. Vocalists, if they're giving you a sound check at the beginning and the room's empty, they're normally apprehensive. So as you've set their mic level, about 4 or 5 songs into it, you may want to check it again, and then definitely by the end of the first set, because now their voice is warmed up, they're less apprehensive, they're probably singing a little harder than what you started. The same way with guitar players and drummers and bass players. Again, we all start warming up, so we start playing a little harder, if that makes sense to you. And typically what that means is if you haven't allowed yourself enough headroom and you're away from the mixing board for just a second, it can cause you a problem. Okay, that's where your feedback starts. Again, there's various problems that your line level can fix for you, and a couple of pointers that I have that I've learned over the years that may make that easier for you. Because when I'm up here and we're playing music, I typically try to give a good sound check and get everybody set into the board, and then I walk away from this thing. I don't sit back here and monitor this board all night, because I'm up there wanting to play music, right? I do try to give everybody as much as I can get on the volume control. However, I do allow myself some headroom in case something happens that I'm back there and can't get here quick enough. I don't want the system to go into a catastrophic failure, okay? And again, feedback, if it's allowed to go too long, it can damage your speakers, or overall harmonic distortion. If you're clipping a channel constantly and keeping your red light pinned, again, now you can start doing damage to your subs. You can do damage to your mid-range cabinets and all kinds of things. Getting everything set to where you need it to be to make everything else function properly it's a big job, but once you get it there, typically things will sound really good for you. We're going to use the keyboard today. That is the most dependable source I have as far as giving me a solid signal back here so I can set the camera up and show you what I'm referring to. Now, if your mixing board has buttons up here that has a number associated with it, this particular board has a negative 26 dB signal drop. So if I engage this button, I can cut this signal by 26 dB, and that is a considerable amount. But what that button would be used for is if you have something back there that is just absolutely driving over a signal that's too hot, you can engage that button and clip that signal. And we also have an 80 Hertz low roll-off button here. So that means anything, if I engage this button, anything at 80 Hertz or below, which is really low sub frequencies, I can clip that out of here as well. If you have a hot bass or something like that going, because typically your subs, 80 is about the maximum lows you want to run in there. You can get some 50s in there, but when you do, you're really driving them hard. So you can clip that 80 Hertz button there and roll your lows off. Really helps dial in the PA after you get everything adjusted just by simply pushing a button. So we're going to go ahead and get our signal sent over here from the keyboard now, and we're going to adjust our volume. And honestly, at this point, you're better off to have your main volumes turned down. Since we're working on an individual channel, we'll dial that in first, and then we can bring our volume up for the PA system itself. Alright, so we're working on channel 9. We do have a green light indicating that we have signal coming from the keyboard over to the mixing board. We are going to turn the gain up, the volume up here, just till we start to see that little red light come on. This is our peak light, and just by it flickering just a little bit there, as you see, that's almost optimal for the keyboard source coming over, and this channel is just about dialed in there. Now, if I continue to go too hot with that, and we get that constant red light there, you see how that's staying on? That means you're clipping the source, and it's causing distortion in your mix, as well as the brighter the light is, the hotter the signal is. And if that thing stays on for very long at full intensity, you can damage your PA system. So we're going to back this gain up just a little bit, give myself some headroom here. We'll wait. Now see my green light stopped. That means that the keyboard has stopped playing. Now it's coming back to life back there. We'll wait on it. There we go. Now we've got a good consistent green light. So our signal's good here. And now we're starting to see that little red light come on just every now and then, and that is absolutely perfect. Okay? So now that we've got this dialed in, now your gain, your input gain does not affect your output gain. So this is our output selector down here, and the further I run this slider up, the more output I'm going to send to the speakers out in the front. Okay? Now I'm going to roll that down to 0, and we are going to go ahead and bring this channel active. Okay? Now we're going to start hearing it come out the front. Okay, I'm going to see if you can see these numbers here. 0 is optimum, and then anything below 0 you start dropping in dBs, and this is killing the complete volume at a negative 45 dB drop. Okay, decibel drop. Now I'm going to start running this up. You're going to start seeing these green lights come up over here. We are aiming for 0 on our output level. That's what these lights flashing is. And once it starts going past 0, it's going to start going into the yellow. And then if it continues too hot of a signal, it goes into the red. Again, that means clipping, and at that point you are definitely sending over distortion to your speakers through your amps and running the risk of blowing your speakers out. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. We want that thing bumping 0 pretty consistent. Okay, so you see what we've got here. Let everything kind of level out, and I want it just a little more. Okay, and again, green is 0. Once we hit yellow, then it starts climbing to the distortion side. We never want to be hitting our peak here. We're still getting a good little flash right here on our peak input from the channel. This is our output from the channel. Now your signal source, if you're using something that is consistent, such as a laptop, you're playing off a CD, and that can get tricky, your cell phone, something like that. If you're playing a consistent level of volume coming from whatever source that you're putting into your mixing board, that makes it easier. I would say turn the volume up on your computer output or cell phone, whatever you're attempting to get music into your mixing board. Go ahead and run that volume up to like 90-95%. That way you have everything set there to where once you put it into the mixing board, now you're under control of how much headroom you have here in the board. Okay, now for guitar players, one of the big things you have to be concerned with there is make sure that they always, if you're giving a sound check to them, make sure that they've got their volume up on their guitar to the level that they want to run their amp at, and as well as their guitar, and you're getting a consistent feed of signal to your board. And what I mean by that is guitar players, myself, as I start playing, typically I'll start at half volume on my guitar, and then by the time I've really gotten warmed up and into a song, I will change the volume of the guitar and go ahead and run it all the way up. Well, that will change your signal source volume coming to the board, and again, if you're away from the mixing board, I might be driving a little too hot of a signal over here. So when you actually set your headroom, give yourself just a little bit. Vocalists, as they warm up, their voice gets stronger, and it can actually go the other way too now. Sometimes, you know, they get all the way through 2 sets, 3 sets, maybe their voice is not quite as strong. So you may have to add a little bit to it. But that's what these mixing boards are designed for, is to give you what you need from input source to the board and then through the PA system, and keep everything kind of nice and level. But to recap, again, a consistent signal source coming into your PA system, get your gain set right to where you're hitting your peak just a little bit, the limiter, you want to, you know, that gets it into the board, and then your outputs through the mains, and everything should sound good. I really hope this helps you in some way. Again, it's just a lot of fun playing music, and you get your board dialed in, your PA set up, the better it sounds, the more fun everybody has. All right? I want to thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.